Is my screen audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it audible? Is it visible clearly now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Okay. So good
Yes, ma'am.
morning, dear students. Today we are going to have session number 1 of power electronics, which is based on the introduction to power electronics, then the power semiconductor devices and triggering circuits. And I'm going to take the previous year's GATE examination questions and numericals also. On the basis of that, you will be able to solve your this year GATE examination. So wish you all the best to crack your GATE exam with a very good score, and I hope you will get a very good institute for your post graduation. So today's class of power electronics is scheduled on 27 November 2021 Saturday, and the time is 11:15 to 1:15. Okay, so we will now start towards the content part. The content part is, so this is the syllabus of power electronics, which is having the static VI characteristic of firing and gating circuit for thyristor, MOSFET, IGBT, DC to DC conversion, then buck boost converter, then single phase and three phase controlled rectifier as well as uncontrolled rectifier, then the voltage and current commutated thyristor based converter, bidirectional AC to DC voltage source converter, then magnitude and phase of line current harmonics for uncontrolled and thyristor based converters, and then the power distortion factors and power factor of AC to DC converter, and single phase to three phase voltage and current source inverter, and sinusoidal pulse width modulation. So it is basically, power electronics is based on 4 types of conversion. Okay, and then these 4 types of conversions we are going to study in detail in these GATE sessions. To understand this basic part, we have 2 books which are available in our library. That is, one is M.H. Rashid and another one is P.S. Bimra. Okay. Is it now visible and audible clearly, or any issue? Hello?
No issue, ma'am.
No issue. Okay. Let me check how many have joined in the meet, so that I'll come to know about it. Okay. Fine. 3 students are there in the meet. Okay. Very good. So, very good. Nishant Shirshakar also joined. Nishant,
Yes,
am I audible? Yeah,
yes,
you are from
yes,
which
ma'am.
class? You are from which class, dear?
From T electrical, ma'am.
Okay, T electrical. Good strength from T electrical. Okay, so I'll just give you that attendance and feedback form link, which you supposed to fill at the end of the class.
Okay, ma'am.
Attendance and feedback link, which you supposed to fill at the end of the class. Okay?
Only one time, no, ma'am?
Yeah, only one time. Only one time.
Okay, ma'am.
So I'll start with, because continuously I cannot switch over the screen from Google Meet to presentation because I'm in a presentation mode. So it's better that after the class you will automatically fill this feedback and attendance form. Okay, so now I'll start my session without any disturbance. If any problem is there to solve the numerical or to understand the numerical, at any time you people can interrupt me. No issue at all. Okay. Am I clear? I said no issue at all if you are going to disturb me or interrupt me at all in my session at any point of view. Okay. So I ask you that the session, this is the first session, and I hope you all have completed your third year power electronics subject, and Sridhar sir has given all detailed idea about that particular subject, and you have even performed the MATLAB practicals also. So that same understanding we are going to implement in today's class. So what is power electronics? Can anyone give me the answer? Any basic answer from any student. What is power electronics? Yes, anyone can respond. There are 2 basic words. One is a power and another one is electronics. So what do you feel? It is a combination of which 2 subjects? Yes. don't worry, give me the answer. Response is important for me. Okay, so this is the combination of power system and electronics. Now, why power system? Because we, the electrical engineers, are going to deal with high voltage and high current applications. And those high voltage and high current applications, we are going to be controlled with the help of electronic subject. So this subject is called power electronics. So what is the definition? The power electronics is defined as the application of solid state electronics for the conversion of electric power and the flexible control of electric power for various applications by wave shaping of voltage, current, or both using fast switching power semiconductor devices. Okay. Now, why solid state electronics? Because the devices which we are going to use for this high voltage, high current application, these are power electronics devices. These are semiconductor devices. So semiconductor devices is nothing but a solid state electronics. Okay. And why conversion of electric power? Because in power electronics devices or in power electronics applications, we are typically have 4 types of conversion. One is AC power into DC power. Another one is AC power to AC power. Then third is DC to AC power. And fourth one is DC to DC power. So AC to DC, it means I am going to use that particular conversion, okay, in say controlled rectifier or uncontrolled rectifier. So it means what is the meaning of the second sentence? Flexible control of electric power for various applications by wave shaping. Now wave shaping means what? If I have a pure sinusoidal AC supply, then I have positive half cycle as well as negative half cycle present in my waveform. But when I'm going to convert AC into DC, I do not have negative half cycle. I have only positive half cycles in my waveform. That is nothing but I am going to change the wave shape of what? Of voltage current. With the help of what? With the help of fast switching power semiconductor devices. Now, which are the power semiconductor devices? That also we are going to study soon. So, the definition we have seen. Now, this particular subject consists of which part or what is the basic foundation to understand this particular subject? So, as I said, it is the combination of 2 words. One is a power, another one is electron. So, power is the word here which is related to what? Which is related to your load devices. Now, which are the load devices which we are going to control? Because first word is power, second word is electronics, and third word is control. Anyhow, we are going to control something. So control something means what? We are going to control some load applications. Now, which load applications we have in our electrical engineering? We have 2 load applications. One is static load, another one is rotating load. Now, static load means what? Static load means our transformer, which is going to handle at very high voltage and high current. That's why it comes under power category, because its power consumption is at a very high level. And rotating load means what? Rotating load means either generator, motor, or alternator, which are also going to carry very high voltage and high current application. So when I'm using only ICs or microcontroller or any chip based circuits, then why I'm not using power word along with that circuit? Because the circuit which comes under electronics part is not going to handle the voltage even more than 30 volt. And the current is also in milliampere. So the power consumption of electronic circuit is very, very low. It is in milliwatt or at the most 1 watt or 2 watt. But the devices which we are going to handle in electrical engineering, their power is in the range of kilowatt to megawatt. Because we have the voltage in kilovolt and we have the ampere range in amperes, thousands of amperes. So when I'm multiplying thousands of ampere with thousands of volt, I'm going to get the power in megawatt. So these particular circuits require to be handled at very high power applications. And this is to control these loads, the devices which I'm going to use, these are called solid state devices. And the control is what? We are going to use the DSP or microcontroller or microprocessor or some DSP base, okay? circuits which we are going to use it over here for control. So now we will start. Everybody understood this basic part? Okay, now I am going to start the questions of the previous GATE paper. Are you comfortable? Okay. So the first question is, the line currents of a three-phase four-wire system are square waves with the amplitude of 100 ampere. These three currents are phase shifted by 120 degree with respect to each other. The RMS value of neutral current is, the first option is 100 by root 3 ampere, the second option is 0 ampere, third option is 100 ampere, and fourth option is 300 ampere. This is only the theory question. Now to answer this particular question, first of all we should understand the waveform pattern. Now the line currents of three-phase four-wire system with square wave with their amplitudes of 100 ampere, and these three currents are phase shifted by 120 degree with respect to each other. So first of all, we have to visualize the waveform in front of us, okay, so that we can easily answer this particular question. So I'll just see, this is the first phase current, say phase A, which is going to start from omega t equal to 0, and it is going to complete its positive half cycle from 0 to 180 degree. And from 180 degree to 360 degree, it is going to have negative half cycle. Then phase B waveform, which will start its positive half cycle 120 degree apart, because here they said 120 degree with respect to each other. So after 120 degree, the current phase B waveform is going to start. And the last phase, that is C phase, it is going to start its positive half cycle after 120 degree with respect to B waveform. It is having, this is third extension part, which is I have shown over here, because the duration of the positive half cycle should be 180 degree. So here also it is 180 degree, here also it is 180 degree, and here also it is 180 degree. That is first part of 60 degree, second part of 60 degree, and this is third part of 60 degree. So A waveform has started at omega t equal to 0, B waveform has started at omega t equal to 120 degree, and C waveform has started at omega t equal to 240 degree. And now we want to find out the RMS value of the neutral current. Now what is neutral current? Neutral current is the phasor sum of all phase currents IA, IB, and IC. Okay, IA, IB, and IC. So if it is the phasor sum of IA plus IB plus IC, what is your answer? The RMS value. Okay, they are asking the RMS value. So how to now calculate RMS value? The RMS value of the neutral current is, the neutral current is, it will be 100 ampere. Now why 100 ampere? You take any instant, say 0 to pi by 3. So in this 0 to pi by 3, I have this 100 ampere, I have this minus 100 ampere, and I have this 100 ampere. So RMS value of IN is nothing but what? Root mean square. So I am going to square of the amplitude, that's 100 square, and then I am taking the mean of that, so divided by 2, okay, and then again the root of that. So the sum of these three currents I am going to get under the RMS quantity is 100 ampere. Okay, so this is the first question which we have solved to understand this particular question. Fine. I hope everyone understood this particular first part of this particular. Okay, now move on towards the second question. The second question is, now the second question is based on power semiconductor devices. Now power semiconductor devices are, the first device is the diode, that is called as a power diode. The second device is the thyristor. The third is the BJT, that is bipolar junction transistor. Okay, and then the MOSFET, that is metal oxide sulfate field effect transistor, and then the IGBT, that is insulated gate bipolar transistor. So these are the devices now which we are going to see in detail, and then we will start the question based on that. Now, in this particular question or in this particular topic, what we supposed to understand? We supposed to understand their basics, because in the anode and cathode, now tell me, the diode is taking the current from anode to cathode. It is there is only one PN junction, okay, and it is a unidirectional device. So it is a unidirectional device. How you will come to know it is unidirectional device? Because this triangular direction is going to give you, the arrow is in downward direction. It means it is taking the current from anode to cathode. Only keep that in mind. Diode is a unidirectional device which is going to take the current in unidirection. Okay. The second one is the thyristor. That is also a unidirectional device which is going to take the current from anode to cathode. But then what is the difference between diode and thyristor? Diode doesn't have this third terminal gate, but thyristor is having third terminal gate. So what is the flexibility of this gate terminal? The gate terminal is called as a control terminal. We can control when to turn on this particular device with the help of gate terminal. So I will say this is the controlled unidirectional device, whereas diode is the uncontrolled unidirectional device. Okay, thyristor is a controlled unidirectional device, whereas diode is uncontrolled unidirectional device, and that too it is having 4 layers, P and PN. Diode is having only 2 layers, P and PN. So it is only one PN junction, whereas it is having 3 PN junction, junction J1, junction J2, and junction J3. Okay. Then the bipolar junction transistor. This bipolar junction transistor is having 2 configurations. One is NPN. The first configuration is NPN, that is not pointing inward, whose emitter is having the arrow always in outward direction, always. And the second configuration is PNP transistor, that is called pointing inward, where emitter is always having the inward arrow direction. Okay. So this is NPN transistor, this is PNP transistor. It is having 3 terminals, base, collector, and emitter. Here also we have 3 terminals, base, emitter, and collector. So what is the difference between bipolar junction transistor and thyristor? It is 3 terminal device. It is also 3 terminal device. It is also a control device. BJT is also a control device, and thyristor is also a control device. Thyristor is having 4 layers and 3 junctions, whereas the bipolar junction transistor is having 3 layers, NPN or PNP, and having 2 junctions, junction J1 and junction J2. Then the next device is the MOSFET, that is metal oxide sulfate field effect transistor. Now here, just a minute. Okay, in MOSFET, if I am comparing BJT with MOSFET, okay, terminology is almost same, because it is also having 3 terminal. It is also having, MOSFET is also having 3 terminal, but the construction is different. Both are belongs to transistor family. BJT is also belongs to transistor family, and MOSFET is also belongs to transistor family. Now what is the difference? The basic difference between BJT and MOSFET is, here the input terminal base is directly connected to this vertical line, whereas here the input terminal gate, which is connected to this vertical line, but this vertical line is having some gap between the next dotted vertical line. So the distance between these 2 lines, okay, gate line and this dotted line, it is having some oxide layer. Here they said metal oxide sulfate. So it is having some oxide layer, SiO2 layer. And because this SiO2 layer present at its input terminal, because this oxide layer is present, it is going to increase the impedance or resistance at its input side. So its input impedance is very, very high. So here we have mentioned, just see, impedance of gate input is very, very high. Why? Because here SiO2 layer is present. So where I need input impedance very high, or where I need to have the input current very, very low, there I have to use MOSFET. In BJT, the input impedance is very low. So I cannot control the input current, or I cannot reduce the input current at a very low magnitude, and it may even damage my device. That is not going to happen with MOSFET. Because its input impedance is very high, the input current is going to be very, very low. It is going to control its input current. Okay. And the another one is insulated gate bipolar transistor. So insulated gate bipolar transistor is also again coming under transistor family, but it is the combination of BJT and MOSFET. Now, which feature of MOSFET it has taken and which feature of BJT it has taken? As we have seen that the input impedance is the desirable parameter of MOSFET, so it has taken the input impedance parameter that is to be very high in MOSFET that it has taken in IGBT. So the gate of IGBT and the gate of MOSFET is having similar structure. Its gate line is also isolated. Here also gate line is isolated. So input impedance of IGBT is also very, very high. And second, the property of the BJT it has taken that it is having a large current capacity. On state current, okay, on state current of BJT is very large, whereas in a MOSFET it is very small. So large current capacity of bipolar junction transistor, the IGBT is taking. Okay, so its on-state resistance is very small. On-state resistance is very small. So whereas in MOSFET, the on-state resistance is very, very large. Now, why we have to worry about on-state resistance? If my device is under on condition and if its resistance under this on condition, if it is very large, then whatever is the current is flowing through that switch is going to multiply it with that on resistance, and that much voltage is going to be drop across the device. So that is again undesirable parameter, that is loss. So if my on state resistance is very small and if we are taking large current, then that large current into small value of resistance is going to give me the voltage drop reduced one compared to MOSFET. Because if I'm taking the on state current, say suppose 10 ampere, okay, here also, and in MOSFET also 10 ampere. Suppose my on state resistance of BJT is only 1 ohm. And here for MOSFET, if it is say of 5 ohm. So this 10 ampere current into 1 ohm on-state resistance is going to only drop 10 volt. But in MOSFET, this 10 ampere current is going to multiply with 5 ohm resistance and it is going to give me the voltage drop of 50 volt. Okay. So in this BJT application, if I applied 100 volt in the input, 100 volt in the input, and if 10 volt is going to be drop across BJT, I'm going to get 100 minus 10 equal to 90 volt at my output. I'll repeat again. In the BJT, the on-state resistance we have considered 1 ohm and current flowing through the device was 10 ampere. So 10 into 1, I'm getting 10 volt drop. And if my input voltage is 100 volt, how much is the output voltage I'm going to get? 100 minus voltage drop 10 volt equal to 90 volt in my output circuit. But the same scene if I'm taking for MOSFET, that it is offering on-state resistance 5 ohm. So this 5 ohm resistance is going to multiply with the on-state current 10 ampere. So its on-state voltage drop is 10 into 5, that is 50 volt. So when I'm going to apply 100 volt, out of this 100 volt, 50 volt is going to be drop across the device. So how much is the output I'm getting? Hardly 50 volt. So here I'm getting 90 volt output, where here I'm getting only 50 volt output. So that is a big loss in MOSFET. So these are the two advantages IGBT has taken. One from BJT, that is on-state resistance is very, very small. Okay. And input impedance is very, very high. So IGBT is a combination of MOSFET and BJT. Okay. Now on the basic, this particular understanding, we will now move towards the numerical practice of devices. So the first question is, there are 4 power semiconductor devices are shown in a figure with their relevant terminals. Devices that can carry DC current continuously in the direction shown when gated appropriately is here. Gated appropriately is here means they are under on state condition. They are gated. It means they are under on condition. And the current direction is common to all four devices. That is, they are going from down terminal to up terminal. Okay. So the first device is thyristor, which is taking the current cathode to anode. And when its gate terminal is fired, it is under on condition. Here also in this device is called as a triac. Okay. So triac is also taking the current from MT2 to MT1 and its gate is also fired. So it is also under on condition. Third is GTO, that is called gate turn off SCR. Here also it is taking the current from cathode to anode where gate is fired. And fourth is MOSFET, which is taking the current from source terminal, okay, to drain terminal where gate is fired. So now tell me, which device will carry the current as per its shown direction when all four are under on condition? All four are under on condition. Okay. Now thyristor, the first device we will see. The first device is the thyristor. It is unidirectional or bidirectional? There is only one triangle. So now tell me, anyone can give me the answer. It is unidirectional device or bidirectional device?
Unidirectional, madam.
Very good, unidirectional. So if it is unidirectional, as per its triangular direction, it is taking current from anode to cathode or from cathode to anode? As per its triangle. As per its triangle, as per its triangle direction. The way its triangle has pointed, okay, this triangle is pointed, it means this device is having the property to carry the current from up to down or from down to up. Yes. I'll again explain. See, try to understand. We are providing the current in these four devices from downward direction to up direction. But basically that device is having which property? To carry the current as per shown direction or to carry the current as per their own construction? Obviously, no, as per their construction, they will carry the current. Not as per the consumer, the way I'll feed the current. Now, suppose if I'm taking a cell or a battery or a 5-volt battery, if it is in my hand, okay, and if I'm not connected positive terminal of my supply to its positive terminal of the battery and negative terminal of my supply to its negative terminal of the battery, then will the battery will take any current? If I have reversely connected, my supply negative is connected to positive terminal of battery and my supply positive I connected to the negative terminal of battery. Will cell work properly? Yes or no?
No.
No. Similar understanding is required over here. Don't worry, okay? Similar understanding is required. So here this arrow is giving you which knowledge? That the current flowing through this SCR, as per its construction, this SCR is taking the current in downward direction, or SCR can take the current, or SCR has that property that it can only conduct the current only in downward direction, because its arrow or its triangular construction is in this way that it will only take current from anode to cathode. But we, the consumer, okay, has feed the current from cathode to anode. So now tell me, will thyristor carry the current? Yes or no? Is it thyristor will conduct in this direction? Can current will flow from cathode to anode?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. How? Because it cannot. We cannot flow this particular current in SCR. See, try to understand. SCR is a unidirectional device. Unidirectional means what? It can only take the current from its positive terminal to negative terminal. Now, what is its positive terminal? Anode. And what is its negative terminal? Cathode. So it can only take the current from anode to cathode. It means SCR can allow the current only in downward direction. as per this figure. As per this figure, SCR can only allow the current in downward direction, that is from anode terminal to cathode terminal, because its construction is in this way. What construction? It is having positive terminal called anode, negative terminal called cathode. So its triangle has pointed towards cathode. It means it is allowing the current, or it can only take the current from anode to cathode. So if the SCR is telling me that I can only take the current from only anode to cathode, and the current which I am feeding to this SCR is in its upward direction or in the opposite direction, tell me. I am feeding the current to the SCR opposite to its construction or in the similar way to its construction?
Opposite.
Yes? So if opposite, then will it carry the current?
Yes.
No, cannot. Try to understand.
Anode
It
to
cannot.
cathode. Positive to negative.
So anode to cathode only it can take the current. I am feeding the current from cathode to anode. So it is opposite to its construction. So it cannot take the current in the other direction. It is not a bidirectional device. It is not a bidirectional device. It is only unidirectional device. It can only take the current from anode to cathode. So thyristor is not the device which will carry the current as per its direction, as per the direction of the current which we are feeding. So the first device will not come in this option. So wherever thyristor options are there, we will not click it. So D option we will not click at all. Are you getting why D option is not a valid option? Because thyristor is a unidirectional device. It can only take the current from anode to cathode. Okay, and the current which we are feeding to that device, that is from cathode to anode. So this current is a negative current. Okay, and this negative current cannot flow from cathode to anode because SCR cannot take this current from cathode to anode. Now second device, come to the triac. Now tell me, triac is having two triangles. So I'll tell you, the one triangle is taking the current in downward direction and another triangle is taking the current in upward direction. So now tell me whether it is unidirectional or bidirectional device?
Bidirectional.
Bidirectional. So as per its construction, this device is able to current from down to up also and from up to down also. In any direction, this device is able to carry the current. So now tell me, this triac, will it carry this particular current or will not?
Carry, ma'am.
Carry. Very good. So triac is coming under this particular category. Okay, triac is coming under this particular category. So this is the triac. So wherever triac options are there, we will click. But now there are three options. Okay. Now come to the third part, that is GTO. Now GTO is having how many triangles?
One.
One. So it is unidirectional or bidirectional?
Unidirectional.
Unidirectional. So will it carry the current in the down direction from downward to upward?
No.
No, because it is opposite to its triangle. Its triangle is in downward direction. The construction is what? The gate is going to allow the current only from anode to cathode. But the current which we are feeding to the device, that is from cathode to anode. So GTO is also not taking the current. It means thyristor and GTO cannot take the current. Thyristor and GTO cannot take the current. Now tell me which option you will click then.
A or B?
A or B. Okay. What is your guess? What is your guess? If you want to click, which will be most preferable for you? Because negative option can reduce your marks or wrong options can give you negative marking.
Option A.
Option A. Okay. So the answer is option B. Why option B? Because MOSFET is not having any triangle. Okay, try to understand. MOSFET is not having any triangle. Whenever any devices, they are having triangle in their construction, the triangle direction is going to decide whether it's a unidirectional or bidirectional. So triac was having bidirectional because they are having both triangles, downward also and upward also. So it was a bidirectional. Similar way, MOSFET is also a bidirectional device. It can take the current from source to drain also and from drain to source also. Okay. Or if it is not, okay, MOSFET, if MOSFET is not having any triangle, now just see, source means what? It's the input. Source, the word source means what? We are giving or we are feeding something. And drain means what? We are collecting something. Source means input and drain means we are collecting something. Okay, or we are removing something. So just see here, source is the input and drain is the output. So at source terminal, we are feeding the current, and from drain, we are taking the output. So current is flowing from source, it is going in its circuit and coming out from the drain. So the current is flowing from input terminal and then it is reaching towards output terminal. So it is in the favor of construction or opposite to the construction? Construction?
Opposite.
No, why opposite? See, current, this feeding current is at which terminal? Source terminal. So this arrow indicates what? This arrow indicates what? From source, the current is going inside the device. And then it is going in the device. And then from drain, the current will go out. So to go the current inside the device as per its arrow, okay, we are giving the current here in the figure. We are giving the current in the figure at source terminal. So source is my input terminal only. Na? So at input terminal only, I am feeding the current. At input terminal only, I am feeding the current. This current, external current, I is at which side? Input side or output side? Tell me. In this figure, this external current I am feeding at which point? Input terminal source or output terminal drain?
Input.
Input. So it is that feeding current. If I am feeding at input terminal, it is desirable or undesirable? It will allow or will not allow?
Allow, ma'am.
Allow. Allow. So the MOSFET is also taking the current as per its direction. So the option is triac and MOSFET. If this current, see, try to understand, if this current, feeding current, if I have shown at drain point, if this arrow of current, if I have shown at drain point in downward direction, okay, suppose this current, if I have shown instead of S, if I have shown at drain and that too in downward direction, then MOSFET even not take the current. MOSFET ni suddha current घेतला नसता. Okay, this MOSFET device also will not able to carry the current because at output terminal, we cannot inject the current. Okay, if at the drain terminal, if this current I am showing in downward direction, it means I am injecting the current from output terminal or I am injecting the current at input terminal. So we cannot inject the current at output side. We can only collect the current from output side. So drain, this is again confusion. Huh? This drain can only take the current in upward because output current needs to go out. So if drain is the output terminal and if it is taking the current, it means the current should leave the drain terminal. The current should go out from the drain terminal. So upward current is desirable direction at drain point, but not inward current is desirable at drain point. Inward is not possible because at output side, drain terminal cannot take the current inside. At drain point, the current can only go outside. So if this current I, if they would have shown at drain point, if it is upward arrow, okay, fine, it is desirable, it is allowed. But if it is inward arrow at drain terminal, if it is inward arrow, then again it is not desirable. So in that case also MOSFET cannot carry the current. But here, because the current at source terminal, it is given in upward direction. So upward current is indicate that we are injecting the current at source point. Injecting the current means what? The current is going to flow in the device from source terminal. So it is allowed. MOSFET can carry the current. I hope everybody understood it very clearly. Is it? Are you comfortable?
Hello.
Hello, yes?
Then, ma'am, can MOSFET should be unidirectional, na?
Yes, yes, yes. It is unidirectional. It is unidirectional. Who decides it is unidirectional? This arrow. The arrow which is at the middle line is showing that it is a unidirectional device. It is only taking the current from source and then it is giving the current to drain. So it is only taking the current from source to drain, not from drain to source.
Clear,
Can I
ma'am.
clear? Okay, fine. Can I go first? Next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next question is, for the power semiconductor device, IGBT, MOSFET, diode, and thyristor, which one of the following statement is true? Now just see. Read these sentences very carefully. All the four are majority carrier devices. All the four are minority carrier devices. IGBT and MOSFET are majority carrier devices, whereas diode and thyristor are minority carrier devices. MOSFET is a majority carrier device, whereas IGBT, diode, and thyristor are minority carrier devices. What is your opinion? What you feel? Majority and minority, I'll tell you what. Majority means what? When the current is flowing due to number of electrons and not holes at all. Not holes at all. If the holes are not going to participate in the flow of current, if the holes are not going to participate in the flow of conduction or in the flow of current, then the device is called as a majority carrier device. Only electrons are playing the role. But in some devices, electrons and holes both are playing the role in the flow of current. Okay, in the phenomena of flow of current. So when majority and minority, both the carriers are playing the role, okay, it means that particular device is taking the current because of electrons also as well as because of holes also. So electrons are called as majority carrier and holes are called as minority carrier device. So what do you mean in this particular question? What is your opinion?
Option number D, ma'am.
Option number D. Okay, let's check.
MOS
Very good. Option number D. Now, can you explain me what is your guess? Will you please justify? Yes.
Ma'am, you as told the difference between majority and minority on that basis, I guess
Okay.
D
Very
option.
good. Very good. Very good. See, basically, MOSFET is belong to the transistor family. Okay. And IGBT also belongs to the transistor family. But in MOSFET, the minority carrier devices are not playing any role because it is field effect transistor. As it is field effect transistor, it is unipolar junction transistor. Field effect transistor, all field effect transistor, whether it is UJT or JFET, all field effect transistors are coming under unipolar junction transistor. Unipolar junction transistor means what? Even though they are transistor, even though they are having two PN junction layer, that is junction J1 and junction J2, even though they are having transistor family and having two junction areas, okay, but because they comes under UJT category, that is unipolar junction transistor family, in all unipolar junction transistor, minority carrier are not playing any role. Remember that. I'll repeat again. Whenever any transistor's device comes under unipolar junction transistor category, unipolar junction transistor category. So in unipolar junction transistor category, only electrons are playing the role in the flow of current. Only majority carriers are playing the role in the flow of current, not minority. Okay, that's why they are called UJT. Okay, so all field effect transistors, whether it is a MOSFET, JFET or UJT, they comes under unipolar category. So they are only having majority carrier. They are only majority carrier devices. Whereas thyristor, diode and IGBT, in this current is flowing because of majority also and minority also. Current flows due to majority carrier also and minority carrier also. Because they are taking the current, because of majority carrier and minority carrier, they are even having like leakage current. आपण म्हणतो की नाही, that the current that the temperature of the device is going to be raised very high. So who is the responsible to raise the temperature of the device, which is not desirable, which is going to damage the device? So temperature rise I am going to get in the devices where the minority carrier current flows. This minority carrier current flow is not desirable current, it is undesirable current. Why? Because minority carrier is giving you leakage current, and this leakage current is very responsible factor for the temperature rise of the device. So MOSFET is having very good temperature stability because it is not carrying any minority carrier. So it doesn't have any leakage current. So its temperature rise is maintained, it is constant. Whereas the devices comes under IGBT, diode, thyristor, they are very temperature sensitive. Their temperature rise is very, very carefully we have to handle because they have minority carrier current, they have leakage current, and this leakage current is going to increase its temperature. Okay, I hope everybody clear with that. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Temperature rise is also one of the important topic, because it may also have one or two questions, because if you remember there is a power conduction circuit, that is temperature rise, temperature resistance, that is from junction to case, case to sink, sink to ambient, and from these all part we have to calculate thermal resistance of any device, and this thermal resistance is going to play very important role for the temperature rise of any device. Okay, so in the power semiconductor there is a very short bit called calculation of thermal resistance. Theta suffix JA, theta JA. So theta JA means junction to ambient. So that complete thermal resistance theta is going to be add from junction to sink, then from sink, junction to case. First is junction to case, that is from its inner junction area to its outer body called case. So first path is junction to case. Second path is case to sink. Case to sink means what? That IGBT, if it is very small in size, so its outer part is very, very small, which is not able to dissipate the heat at a very faster rate. So we are going to mount the transistor on heatsink. So what heatsink does? Heatsink is giving you very large cross-section area. So when the cross-section area increases, the heat dissipation increases. It is a similar example like a very hot tea. If it is we are taking in a cup, and if the same hot tea we are pouring on, suppose in the soap, okay, yeah, we are pouring that hot tea on the saucer. So that saucer is going to do what? Cup is having very small cross-section area. So we cannot cool down that hot tea very immediately. But as soon as I'll pour that hot tea in the saucer is going to increase its area. So heat can easily dissipate at a faster rate, and I can cool down that hot tea. Similar logic I am going to do with these all power semiconductor devices. The devices which is very temperature sensitive, these all devices I am going to mount on heatsink. So what is the function of the heatsink? Heatsink is going to increase the cross-section area through which they can immediately dissipate the heat and maintain their temperature within the ambient condition. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now the next question we will see. Now here we supposed to do the calculation. Okay. So I'll let you know about it. The figure, just see the figure very carefully. Okay, I have even given the hint also how to solve this particular question, but read the statement very carefully, that a steady DC current of 100 ampere is flowing through a power module S, D. Okay, here S, D. S is your transistor. Now tell me it is which transistor? If you are able to recognize with its symbol, can anyone give me the idea what is that S? Is it a thyristor? S, is it a thyristor? The device name which is S, is it a thyristor?
No, ma'am.
No. So what, can anyone give me the name of that device S? We have seen thyristor, we have seen diac, we have seen GTO, we have seen MOSFET, and we have seen IGBT. What do you feel? It is which
Try.
device? Yes, 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 try. What is that S? If you will look in the question very clearly, you will get the answer. S is what?
IGBT.
IGBT. Okay, S is IGBT. It is having insulated gate bipolar transistor. So it is a bipolar transistor, but it is having insulated gate. And to that S, there is an anti-parallel diode, which is connected in the reverse direction. So this is the device, and it is taking 100 ampere current. But this 100 ampere current is flowing in which direction? From down to up. And this IGBT is taking the current from upward to downward. Why upward to downward? Because IGBT is NPN type or PNP type? Can anyone give me the answer? As per its symbol, IGBT is in which direction? NPN, not pointing inward or pointing inward?
NPN, ma'am.
NPN. My NPN है, if it is NPN type of transistor, it will allow the current or it will carry the current from upward to downward or from downward to upward. Yes. What do you feel? As per its direction given at its terminal, it will allow the current through this line at this terminal. Okay, will carry the current from upward, it will go here and then coming down, or the current of 100 ampere which we are feeding, will it flow 100 ampere? Will it flow? Just see, this 100 ampere will flow through S or will not flow through S? Yes. What is your
No.
guess? No. Very good.
No,
No.
ma'am.
No.
No.
No. That is the correct answer. No.
Upward,
Okay.
because upward. Is it coming from upward to downward?
Yes, very good. It is coming from upward to downward. So S is able to carry the current from upward to downward. Okay, so obviously these 100 ampere current now will flow through which device? If S is not able to carry that current, which device will carry that current? Will diode carry the current?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Because diode triangle is in favor to this direction of 100 ampere. Because diode triangle is showing that the triangle is in upward direction. So it can carry the current in upward direction. So anyhow 100 ampere current is flowing in upward direction. So this complete 100 ampere will go towards the diode. So S will not carry any current. This is the ideal logic we are giving. Okay. So now we will read the sentence. A steady state DC current of 100 ampere is flowing through a power module, which is a combination of S and D as shown in the figure A. The VI characteristic of the IGBT and the diode are shown in figure B and C respectively. The conduction power loss in the power module SD in watt is. So it is a filling the blank. You supposed to write the answer. So this is the VI characteristic of IGBT. Okay, that during its, this is what this is called as a cut-in voltage. 1 volt is a cut-in voltage of IGBT and 0.7 volt is a cut-in voltage of a diode. So once the applied voltage of IGBT is crossed 1 volt, then it will carry the current at a larger value. And when cut-in voltage across the diode, when it cross 0.7, it will carry the current of a larger magnitude. So we want to calculate the power loss. They ask the power loss in the power module. So power loss means what? Any current flow through the device, that is I. Then to that I we have to take a square, that is I square, into the resistance of that device. Into the resistance of that device. Okay. So now there are two devices. One is called IGBT, another one is called diode. So total resistance is coming R IGBT plus R diode. And this is on-state resistance we have to calculate. Okay, on-state resistance. So on-state resistance, how to calculate? Voltage under on condition divided by current under on condition. Okay. So now, if it is the logic, we have to calculate it. So now how will I calculate it? I, that is 100 ampere, okay, R IGBT, that is 1 volt, okay. So 1 divided by, this is 100, this is 0.7 divided by 100. So I am going to get certain resistance, and then 100 square if I do it, okay, then I am going to get from 169 to 171. So your answer need to be between 169 to 171. So this way you can calculate your power loss. I'll repeat again. I square into your total resistance. Total resistance, there are two devices. One is R IGBT and another one is R diode. R is which resistance? That is on resistance. Okay. So V upon I, if I'll take the on state resistance. Am I clear? So the answer is coming between 169 to 1. Actually, answer is coming 170. But they are expected the range, say 169.98 if someone is getting, or if someone is getting 170.21, then that also expected. So the answer range is 169 to 171. Okay. Then the next is C now, this particular numerical. Now this is which characteristic? Okay, if you will look at very clearly, then you will understand the voltage Vs across and the current Is flow through a semiconductor switch during a turn on transistor. So till this dotted line, see here, till this dotted line, okay, that is the second dotted line, and just see the first dotted line. So what happened, no? Suppose if I am taking a diode, okay, no, not diode, I'll take a SCR, okay, I'll take the example of SCR. I have three terminals, anode, cathode and gate. I connected 600 volt between its anode and cathode in such a way that it is forward bias. Forward bias means what? The 600 volt positive terminal I'll connect to the anode terminal, and 600 volt negative terminal I'll connect to the cathode terminal of the SCR. So positive is going to anode, negative is going to cathode. So I have connected that SCR in forward bias condition. And I have not fired its gate terminal. I have not fired its gate terminal. I have not applied any gate signal to its gate terminal. Now tell me, under this condition, that SCR is under conduction mode or it is under off mode?
Off mode.
Very good. It is under off mode. So at this first dotted line, that is T1 is equal to here, at this first dotted line, I have fired the gate terminal. So whatever the gate current has injected near its gate terminal, its resistance started to decrease. As its resistance started to decrease, the current slowly increased. But the voltage remains constant. As soon as the current has reached to its maximum level, okay, its junction J2 resistance has started breaking down. As soon as this resistance has breaking down, the current will start from anode terminal to cathode terminal, and it is now going to be moved from open switch to closed switch condition. It is now moving from forward blocking mode to conduction mode. So its voltage has started reduced. Okay, and then stably it is going to take this current through the device, that is called 100 ampere. So initially, to break that resistance, which is at the start, which was very high, it has taken 150 ampere current. See, total current is 150 ampere. This 100 ampere plus this 50 ampere. Just a key, I'll give the example. If I want to start any, suppose I have a ball on my table, okay, it is of a metal ball, okay, it is having a very high mass, okay, and if I want to move that ball, the effort which I'm going to take at the start of the movement will be very high because I want to take that ball in motion. But once that ball has started to move, then to reach to certain point, my efforts has reduced, because at initial condition, it is having very high moment of inertia. So to overcome that moment of inertia, the effort which I need to take is very, very large. But once that moment of inertia has overcome, once that ball comes in motion, then the effort which I want to take, that will be very, very less. So similarly, to break down the on-state resistance, initially I require very large amount of current, that is 150 ampere. But once the resistance has started to broken down, once the resistance has broken, then the current which I am going to get in my device has started to flow to 100 ampere continuously. So this initially breaking down condition is taking the period of 1 microsecond, and the next, where the voltage is coming down from 600 volt to 0 volt, that period is again T2 equal to 1 microsecond. Okay, now they are asking us find out the energy dissipation during on-state transition. On-state transition means from first dotted line, okay, to this third dotted line. So first initial period is T1 1 microsecond, where my current has increased from 0 level to 150 ampere, and second period where my voltage has reduced from 600 volt to 0 volt. So to find out the energy dissipation, what is the major difference between power and energy? Can anyone tell me? Power and energy. Yes, what is the basic difference between power and energy? Power and energy. Yes.
The energy dissipation in inductor, ma'am.
Okay. See, when I have voltage and when I have current, how to calculate power? How we are calculating power?
V into I.
V into I. But the same voltage and current, suppose I have taken a bulb in my home, and that bulb I have connected to 230 volt AC system, and if it is taking the current of, say, for an example, say 1 ampere, okay, and that bulb I am continuously switching on or using that light, say, for 1 hour, okay, then that is going to be calculated as power consumption or energy consumption. What you will say? Whatever the consumption that bulb has taken, that I'll measure in terms of power, or I'll measure it in terms of energy. What? We are the customers, we are consuming the electricity. So our energy bill which we are getting at our home, that comes under which terminology? Power consumption bill or energy consumption bill? Yes.
Energy.
So now tell me, what is the basic difference between energy and power? Is time playing any important role or not? In
Yes.
energy, yes. So how much time we are keeping that bulb on, that is also going to be measured in my bill, which I'm going to get from MSCP. Okay, because you are getting that bill over the term called energy, not power. So here also they are asking us to calculate energy dissipation. So this energy dissipation is nothing but your power into time. So V1 into I1 into T1, that is the energy dissipated in this first time period, that is from first dotted line to second dotted line, and from second dotted line to third dotted line, again I am calculating the energy, that is V2 into I2 into T2, and then taking the average of both, I am taking sum of both divided by 2, then I am going to get the total energy heat dissipation during the time period T1 1 microsecond as well as T2 equal to 1 microsecond. Okay, so the answer will come 75. So the range is coming 74 to 76. Okay, I'll again explain what I have. There two periods are there. So we want to find out the energy dissipation. So first V1, okay, into I1 into T1. So this is the energy dissipation in first period. And second period, V2 into I2 into T2. That is the second period energy dissipation. Okay. So in this second energy heat dissipation and first energy heat dissipation, two different terms I'm getting. So we are going to get the average of both. So that's why we are going to add both and divided by 2. So answer is coming 75, but the range is accepted, that is 74 to 76. Because anyone can get, if the decimal point of answers, then they are going to accept -1 as well as +1 point also. Okay, and that is in millijoule. Okay, why millijoule? Because period is in microsecond. So you have to take 1 into 10 raised to -6. Don't take only into 1. You have to take into 1 into 10 raised to -6 because time period is in microsecond. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, 600 into 50 into 1 into 10 raised to -6, na? And
Right.
plus and what should we take for V2?
V2 you have to take here. Okay. V2 you have to take over here. You cannot take it 0. Cannot take it 0. If you will take 0. Now tell me what is your first point is coming. First answer is coming.
Three into 10 raised to 4.
किती 3
Hmm.
म्हणजे 30.
Yes.
Right, 30 millijoule. Right.
Yes. Right. 30 into 10.
So here the current you have taken, that is 50, but it is not 50, no, bacha. It is how much? In the first period, the current is how much? Is it 50? Just see, it is 100 plus 50, no?
Yes,
first period.
150.
So how much it is? $90 millijoule, I think. Am I correct? $600 into 150 into 1 microsecond. So 15 6 are 90. So it will come around 90 millijoule. Is it? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Is it? Right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you will take the second period where you will take the current 100 ampere. Right?
Yes.
And then we are going to add both and then divided by 2. Right?
I had taken for V150 and V200. So confused.
Okay. Fine. But now understood, no?
Yes.
Okay. So now see the next question. Okay. Now in this question, again, you have to apply your own logic. The slide which I have taken for you, that is power semiconductor devices, and whatever the theory which I have explained till now. Okay. On the similar basis, we have to solve this particular question. So now read the question. Figure shows 4 electronic devices, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which of the switches can block voltage? Block voltage of either polarity applied between terminal A and B when the active device is in the off state. Active device means in figure 1 the active device is IGBT. In figure 2 also active device is in IGBT. In figure 3 there is only one device, SCR, and in 4th again active device is SCR. So when all these active devices are off, okay, and if I'll apply the current, in any direction, okay, if I'll apply the current, then apply the current in any direction means apply the current, if I'm going to apply the current as per the switch direction, suppose, okay, but the device need to be off. The device need to be off means what? These devices are not taking any current. If these devices are not taking any current, and suppose assume that I have connected a battery between A and B. So between A and B, just assume, first case number 1, I connected to all 4 devices to a cell, to a battery, whose positive plate is connected to A and negative plate is connected to B. Positive plate connected to A and negative plate connected to B. Okay. Then which device will be able to block the voltage? Which devices is able to block the voltage? The active device is in the off state. I connected positive terminal to A and negative terminal to B. So if I am connecting positive terminal to A and negative terminal to B, this IGBT is in forward bias or reverse bias?
Forward bias.
So will it be in off state? Forward bias when the device off state ला असतो का on state ला असतो? Forward bias, just only forward bias.
On state ma'am.
On state. म्हणजे first of all, whatever the case I have given to you, that is positive plate of the battery, if I am connected to A, which is not acceptable at all for all four devices, because to the terminal A, if I am connecting a positive plate, this IGBT is going to be forward bias. Here also this IGBT is going to be forward bias. Here, if I am connecting positive plate of the battery to A, it means I am making anode of this SCR positive. If anode of this SCR going to be positive, again it will be also forward bias. Here also in fourth, also same. If A I am connecting to positive plate of the battery, its anode is going to be positive. So I should not do this connection, because I want to keep all the devices off. And when I want to take these all devices off, my A terminal of each and every device should connect it to which terminal of battery? Positive plate or negative plate? Tell me.
Negative.
Negative. Very good. Negative. So I should connect the battery in such a way that A is negative and B is positive. Okay. Everybody try to understand. When A will be negative and B is positive, then then only I am making all four devices under reverse bias condition. And when my devices are under reverse bias condition, they are in the off state. Under this situation, when the devices are under reverse bias condition, when they are in off state, which device will block the voltage? They want to ask you. What is your guess? Block the voltage.
Second and third ma'am.
Second and third. Second is your IGBT, okay, and third is your SCR. Very good. Why not first and fourth? Why not first and fourth? It is very simple answer. Why not first and fourth?
Ma'am, current is flowing through diode.
Very good. Very clear understanding. What is your name, dear?
Gaikwad Vinod.
Vinod Gaikwad. Very clear logic. Even though I am connecting a battery between B and A with B positive and A negative, their anti-parallel diodes in figure 1 as well as in figure 4, their anti-parallel diodes are going to be forward bias. And when these anti-diodes are going to be forward bias, the current is going to start to flow through this diode from B terminal to A terminal. So if this combination is under on condition, will be there any blocking of voltage? No, they are not going to block any voltage because they are under on condition. So if they are under on condition, they are not able to block it. So the answer is second and third. Only second and third are able to be in the off state, and when the device is in off state, they are going to block the voltage, because here diode is in series and here there is no diode at all. In third, there is no diode. So when my B terminal is positive and A terminal is negative, B terminal positive in the second figure, if I am taking B terminal positive, it means I am making cathode of the diode positive. If the cathode of the diode is positive, it means diode is in which bias condition? Forward bias or reverse bias? Yes, the cathode of the reverse. Very good. So diode is also off and IGBT is also off. So both the devices are in off state. So both the devices will act as open switch, and they'll able to block the voltage. So the polarity of the blocking voltage is B positive and A negative. Here also same. I'm connecting B positive and A to negative terminal. And because B I'm making positive, I'm making cathode of the SCR positive and anode of the SCR negative. So again it is also under reverse bias condition. So only these two devices are in off state. So only the combination shown in second and third are able to block the voltage. But the devices which are under first and fourth, they are going to carry the current even in the reverse direction. I hope everyone understood very clearly. Okay. So this way the logic is required in this power semiconductor devices. Okay. Now we will see the next part, that is SCR part, that I'll take in a brief, so that I'll jump to triggering part also, because I have some questions related to triggering circuits also. Okay. So is everyone understood clearly the first part of the today's class, that is the power semiconductor devices? I hope. Yes or no? Okay. Now shift to the, now thank you very much. Now shift to the working of SCR. Okay. So working of SCR, that is, there are three modes: forward blocking mode, forward conduction mode, and reverse blocking mode. Forward blocking mode means what? We are giving anode to positive plate, we are giving cathode to negative plate, but we have not connected any voltage between gate and cathode. So your gate terminal is open. So it is called as the unfired SCR. And this unfired SCR is under forward bias condition. Okay, it is called as a forward blocking mode. And as soon as I'll apply the voltage between its gate and cathode in such a way that the positive terminal of the battery is connected to the gate and negative terminal of the battery is connected to the cathode, it means we have fired the SCR. As soon as I'll fire the SCR will be under conduction mode. That is called forward conduction mode. And reverse blocking mode means what? The anode terminal of the SCR is connected to the negative plate and cathode terminal of the SCR is connected to the positive plate of the battery. So we have reverse biased SCR. So this particular mode is called as a reverse blocking mode. And under this reverse blocking condition, we should not give any voltage between gate and cathode, because it is undesirable for that device. Device may damage permanently. Okay. So this is the characteristic of SCR, which is a unidirectional device. So only in the first quadrant, it is taking the current, which is called as a forward conduction region. In the reverse blocking region, it should not carry any current, because that is called as a breakdown current, and it can only just give the harmful condition to the devices. So in the fourth quadrant, we should not operate any device. So we are not going to fire the gate in SCR under fourth quadrant condition. What is meant by fourth quadrant condition? It is called as a reverse blocking condition, where my anode is negative and cathode is positive. Okay. So we are going to operate only the SCR in only first quadrant, where my anode is positive and cathode is negative, and I am going to fire the SCR. Now there are two current comes in a picture very well. You all may know the terminology. One called latching current and one called holding current. Okay. Can anyone give me the term latching current? What do you mean latching current and what do you mean holding current? Yes, anyone knows latching current?
Latching current is turn on process.
Very good, very good. And holding current is related to?
Turn off process.
Very good, very good, very good answer. So latching current we are going to observe when I am going to turn on my SCR, and holding current we are going to observe when I am going to turn off my SCR. Okay. And this third parameter is called as the forward blocking voltage. Okay, where the curve ends. So in the first curve, I am getting this forward blocking voltage here, which is called as a breakover voltage also. So in the first curve, I am getting the forward breakover voltage somewhere here, whereas in the second curve, I am going the forward breakover voltage somewhere here. So say this is curve number 1. Okay, outer curve is outer characteristic it is curve number 1, and inner characteristics say curve number 2. So curve number 1 is giving higher breakover voltage, and curve number 2 is giving me less breakover voltage. Say suppose here it is 10 volt. Okay, first breakover voltage is 10 volt and second breakover voltage is 5 volt. So can anyone give me the answer? By increasing which current I can reduce this forward breakover voltage from 10 volt to 5 volt. Yes. Who varies this breakover voltage, or with the help of which current I can reduce this breakover voltage? Yes. In the SCR. Okay. I'll give you the example. In that you try to understand. Suppose I have taken SCR. Okay, two SCR I have, which is having three terminals: anode, cathode, and gate. Anode, cathode, and gate. First SCR I have connected across 50 volt battery in such a way its positive terminal of the battery connected to anode and negative terminal of the battery connected to cathode. It means forward bias. Okay. Second SCR also I connected to 50 volt battery only. Similar way, positive terminal of the battery going to anode and negative terminal of the battery going to the cathode. So both the SCRs are under forward bias condition. One SCR, first SCR, I am going to fire with the help of gate current Ig equal to 1 milliampere, and second SCR I am going to fire with the help of gate current Ig, say 100 milliampere. I'll repeat my sentence. The first SCR I am going to fire with the help of gate current 1 milliampere, and second SCR I am going to fire with the help of Ig 100 milliampere. What is your guess? Which SCR will turn on fast? First or second?
100 milliampere, ma'am.
Why? Why? Answer is correct. Answer is absolutely correct. Why?
Ma'am, turn on
Because
process.
Yes. Continue.
If we increase current, ma'am, then turn on process of SCR is increases.
So increasing gate current means the junction J2, which is over here. See, when I am connecting here it is, if you will see forward conduction mode, my anode is positive and cathode is negative. And here I am going to apply the gate current. So when I am applying the gate current, it's of 1 milliampere. So this 1 milliampere is going to do the gate junction, which is junction J2, is actually under reverse bias condition, because its N layer is near to positive terminal of the battery connected between anode and cathode, and its P layer is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. So when I'm actually forward biasing my SCR by connecting anode to positive plate and cathode to negative plate, I am making this junction J2 reverse bias. And because of the junction J2 reverse bias, until and unless you don't apply any gate voltage or gate current, your SCR doesn't fire. Your SCR doesn't move from forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode. So this 1 milliampere gate current takes a long time to break this reverse biasing condition of junction J2. It takes a long time to break this reverse bias junction of J2. But if I'm taking 100 milliampere current, then it is having a large capacity to break down this junction J2 at a very faster rate. So when I'm injecting large amount of gate current near the gate terminal, I can turn on my SCR at a very faster rate. So who decides the turn on time delay? The magnitude of gate current. But again, it should not be too high, because it can also damage the device permanently. So as Ig increases, the delay to turn on process of SCR decreases. And that's why here, when 1 milliampere gate current was there, the forward breakover voltage was 10 volt. So it was taking a long time to break over the junction J2 and then reach to the conduction state. But when I have taken gate current 100 milliampere, it has taken a very small time period to break down the junction J2. So it has hardly taken half the voltage, say 5 volt, and it has reached to conduction mode. So now tell me, what is the relation between forward breakover voltage and gate current? Are they directly proportional or they inversely proportional? Yes. This breakover voltage 10 volt and this breakover voltage 5 volt. What is your guess? This 10 volt I will get for 1 milliampere gate current or 100 milliampere gate current? Yes. When the breakover voltage is 10 volt, that time SCR will take a long time to turn on, or it is going to take short time to turn on. See, 10 volt, it has to travel this much distance. 10 volt here. So when the breakover voltage is 10 volt, SCR is taking a long path to turn on or a short path to turn on?
Short path, ma'am.
No, just see, this is 10 volt, first curve. So first curve is having a longest path, or curve number 2, that is inner curve, that is having a shorter path. What? Curve number 1 is having a longer path, or curve number 2 is having a longer path? Curve number 1 is outer curve, and curve number 2 is the inner curve. बघा बरं. Which curve is having a longer path? Curve 1, that is outer curve, or curve 2, that is inner curve?
Outer curve.
Outer curve. So outer curve is having a longer path. It means outer curve will give you large time delay to turn on my SCR, or short time delay to turn on my SCR?
Large time.
So when the curve number 1 is in picture, SCR will take a long time to turn on. It means for this breakover voltage, my gate current is small in magnitude or large in magnitude? कसा असेल माझा गेट करंट? कर्व नंबर 1 जर मी कन्सिडर करते तर कर्व नंबर 1 साठी माझा कुठला गेट करंट असेल? जो मी 1 मिली एम्पियर दिला होता तो, or I have given 100 milliampere, that one? What is your guess?
1 milliampere, ma'am.
Very good. So when my gate current is very less, then the junction J2 is taking a very long time period to break down that junction J2 resistance. So breakover voltage is very large in magnitude. And breakover voltage, when is large in magnitude, it is taking a long path to travel. And that's why SCR takes a very long time delay to turn on that SCR. But when my gate current is large in magnitude, then that large amount of gate current immediately break down the junction J2. So it is taking a very small forward breakover voltage. So the curve is having a shorter path. So SCR can move in a very short time delay to turn on the SCR. So what is the relation between breakover voltage and gate current? Inversely proportional or directly proportional? What is your guess? See, for 1 milliampere gate current, forward breakover voltage 10 volt. And for 100 milliampere gate current, forward breakover voltage is 5 volt. So as I am increasing gate current, forward breakover voltage is going to reduce or is going to increase? Reduce. So they are directly proportional or inversely proportional?
Inversely proportional.
Very good. Okay. So forward breakover voltage is going to reduce when I am going to increase my gate current. Is everyone understood clearly, or should I repeat that? Yes?
Understood, ma'am.
Okay. So now, just see. What is the circuit turn-off time period of an SCR? That the definition you are supposed to select from this question. Circuit turn-off time of an SCR is defined as the time. What is your guess? The time taken by the SCR turn-off, time required for the SCR current to become 0, time required for which the SCR is reverse biased by the commutation circuit, and time taken for the SCR, which is reverse biased, to reduce its current below holding current. What is the turn-off time period? What is your guess?
C, ma'am.
C. Okay, very good. It is the time taken for the SCR is reverse biased by the commutation circuit. Okay. So the answer is C only, for which the SCR is reverse biased by the commutation circuit. Now tell me, what is commutation circuit?
Turning off process of SCR.
Yes, commutation means it is related to turning off the SCR. So the circuit which we are going to design to turn off the SCR is called as the commutation circuit. So if you remember, in this particular turn off mechanism, there are two time periods. One is called circuit turn off time period, another one is called as the thyristor turn off time period. One is denoted by TC and another one is called as TQ. So circuit turn off time period and thyristor turn off time period, there are two different terminologies. So to have a proper commutation or to have a desirable commutation, which should be greater than the other term? Turn off time of SCR need to be greater than circuit turn off time period, or circuit turn off time period need to be greater than SCR turn off time period? What is your guess? What is your
SCR turn off time is greater than circuit turn off time.
No, it is exactly reverse. It is exactly reverse. The time period which circuit supposed to give to the SCR to turn off, it should be always larger than the SCR requires to have desirable commutation. Why? I'll tell you. See, in many circuits, what happened? Somewhere what happened, no? When SCR is under working condition, and as per its data sheet, suppose it is taking the time period to turn it off, say suppose 1 microsecond. Okay, its turn off time period, say 1 microsecond. Okay, and we are now giving the time, circuit is giving the time is hardly say 0.5 microsecond. 0.5 microsecond means my SCR is having 1 microsecond turn off time period, and my circuit is giving, which I have designed on my board, it is going to give only half the time period to turn it on. Now, what will happen in this 0.5 microsecond? Whatever the circuit I have decided, whatever the circuit I have given on the board, may not be able to remove all the carriers which are present in the SCR. If you know reverse recovery phenomena, what is reverse recovery phenomena? That is related to turning off the SCR. So in this reverse recovery phenomena, what exactly we are going to do? We are going to remove all the majority carriers and minority carriers present in the device. And then we are going to turn off that device properly. So if the circuit is not giving sufficient time to turn off the SCR, it means we are not going to remove all the present carriers in the device. Then device may start, or the device may turn on in the malfunction way, and it may damage your complete board. So always, what is the good practice? The good practice is whenever any device required its turn off time period, so compared to its own requirement, 1.5 times greater the turn off time circuit needs to provide, so that all the carriers which are present during the conduction mode, that device is getting sufficient time to remove all the carriers present in that, then it may not have any malfunctioning conduction. Okay, I hope I have given you the basic reason behind it. Okay, that's why here commutation circuit is important. So it is the time period for which the SCR is reverse biased by the commutation circuit. So circuit is going to give you the time which is always greater than the turn off time of SCR. So who is going to decide your off time period? Your commutation circuit, not the device. Okay, because here in the last condition, even if the SCR is reverse bias and reducing its current below the holding current, I'll tell you. See here, suppose your SCR was taking the conduction at say 50 ampere. Okay, it was in operation, and I want to turn it off. So what I did, I have reverse connected my battery. So now my anode becomes negative and cathode becomes positive. Because of its reverse bias condition, the current starts reduce. It has come to 50 ampere to say suppose here 1 ampere, and its holding current, it's say 0.8 ampere. Okay, the current flow through the SCR is at 1 ampere, and the holding current is say 0.8 ampere. So I have not reduced the current below holding current. I am still above the holding current because my 1 ampere value is greater than 0.8 ampere. Its holding current is 0.8 ampere. And I am somewhere here, which is above the holding current. And suddenly, if something happened in the circuit and that battery again forward bias between anode and cathode, then because of the current flow through the SCR was not below holding level, the carriers are present in the SCR, and because the connection of the battery has reversed, it may suddenly fire and it can break down your board completely. Okay, so from the device requirement is what? From the device side, your current need to be less than holding current. So it may take care that obviously required carriers are already removed. So very few carriers are present. And to remove these few carriers, again circuit is giving sufficient time to turn it off. So always turn off time decided by SCR and turn off time given by the circuit, which need to be greater? Circuit turn off time, that is commutation circuit turn off time, needs to be greater than the device turn off time. Okay. And the next part is triggering part. I'll take 1 or 2 numericals based on that, and then we are going to end it over here. Now let's see the last bit, that is triggering circuit. So you all know that there are 3 triggering circuit. One is called R circuit, another one called RC circuit, and then called UJT circuit. So R circuit is going to be used with the help of resistance only. There are only resistance, and we are going to vary the resistance connected to its anode terminal. Is going to vary the terminal current flowing through the gate, and as the gate current is going to vary, we are going to vary the firing angle alpha. But what is the constraint? The R circuit is going to control the firing angle alpha from only 0 degree to 90 degree. We cannot vary the firing angle alpha beyond 90 degree. That is the major constraint of resistance circuit. Then the next circuit is RC circuit. In the capacitor is connected between gate and cathode. So we can control this charging of capacitor with the help of this variable resistance, and we can carry variable gate current. Here we are getting the control, the alpha. We can vary the alpha from 0 degree to 180 degree. Means from t is equal to 0 to the end of positive half cycle. It means full positive half cycle we are going to vary. Anywhere in between positive half cycle from 0 degree to 180 degree, anywhere I am going to vary the value of alpha. So the range of alpha is 0 degree to 180 degree in RC circuit. But in R circuit, we are going to vary the value of alpha only from 0 degree to 90 degree. That is peak of the positive half cycle, not beyond peak value of the positive half cycle. Whereas in RC circuit, we are going to vary the value of alpha from 0 degree to 180 degree. That is in the full positive half cycle we can vary. Okay. And next is UJT circuit. In UJT circuit, we are going to generate the pulses with the help of this unipolar junction transistor, which is of a very higher rate, lower magnitude, and because it is having a very small pulse, it is not going to raise the temperature of the device. It is only taking care of only fire. Okay, it is just kind of a pulse. It is just giving a jerk, but it is not going to maintain for a long time. So temperature rise is very, very controlled in this UJT firing circuit, and it is very widely used in all industrial application. Okay? It is also called relaxation oscillator also, if you remember. तुम्हाला ADA आठवत असेल तर बघा. This is nothing but UJT relaxation oscillator. So relaxation means what? Its on time is very small compared to its off time. So its relaxed time is very large than its conduction time. That's why this circuit is called as a relaxation oscillator. And this firing circuit is widely used in SCR because its on time is very small compared to its off time. So because its on time is very small, it is going to control the temperature rise of the device within the ambient condition. So I hope I have cleared all the topics. Okay. And what the topic we have covered, that is based on semiconductor devices. Then in the semiconductor devices, I have even solved the numericals related to their operation. We have seen even the numerical practice, and then we have even concentrated on the we have even concentrated on the SCR construction. And then the last topic we have taken the firing circuit, that is R circuit, RC circuit, and UJT firing circuit. So I am so much thankful to you all students for patiently listening. If any queries are there, you can ask me now. So question and answer session is open to you all. Any question, any doubt, any help, any material if you require related to this topic, you can ask me now. I will provide you through your official mail IDs or on your official WhatsApp group. Yes, anyone wants to discuss anything with me, forum is open to you all. Yes. Any particular book or any particular material, if you want, I'll provide it in the Google Classroom if you want. This PPTs which I prepared now, this also I'll upload in my Google Classroom, okay, which Yevle sir has created. So I'll give you this all text material which I have prepared for our reference. So the next session we will conduct the scheduled date. 4th December is the next scheduled date. So on 4th December, we will see the next part of the converters related to the single phase and 3-phase converter devices. And then we will see the inverter part, which is very, very important for the numerical practice. So this is the link of the attendance and feedback form, which I have even given in the chat box also at the start of the class. Let me check. Yeah, is it available for all in the chat box? Resend the feedback form. Okay, fine. If possible, do not have multiple use of the Google form. If you have any problem, then you can refill that, no issue. But don't create multiple responses, okay, as soon as possible for you and as far as possible for you. So I hope everyone is clear with all the fundamental knowledge related to the session number 1 of power electrons. Any doubt is there, then you can ask me. Yes, students who are present in my session. Vaishnavi, am I audible? Vaishnavi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are from which class, dear? 3rd year or final year?
Final year, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Final year students. Have you filled the gate form?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So Vinod Gaikwad, Gaurav Ghadge, Nishan Chirsagar, then Muzawar, these all students. I'm really thankful to you all that 2 hours patiently you have listened my class and you have shown very active participation. So I enjoyed these 2 hours because of your interaction only. Otherwise it would have monotonous class. So thank you so much for your valuable presence. If any doubt or any kind of help if you want from me, you can WhatsApp me personally or you can write an email on my official email ID, that is jyotri.kulkarni@ppkbat.org. I'll provide all the material which I have to you, or else I'll upload this on Google Classroom. Fine? Everything is for you. Can we stop here?